Hello everybody. Today I'm going to have a look at topic 2, planning. And specifically, I'm going to have a look at using a private class level variables and constant values then in an SDI, so single document application, one form, where the array data must be shared between different event procedures. Okay? Different event procedures, really important. For this purpose of this example, I've downloaded planning document C and I've entered a small program for us. So the user interface says have one form pets, that's got a list box and a menu on the form. Then we need to code an SDI application that stores a maximum of 5 pet names. Have a menu with these options, so file exit, pets, that's got two options, add a pet and display the pet. The menu item event procedure for add a pet says get a name from the user input box at this stage. If there is space in the array, store the name and increment the array counter. If there are no space, display an error message to the user. Menu item, event procedure, the display pets, display all the pets currently stored in the array in a list box. So I can maybe add fill the array with data as it is entered. Hey, we're going to use a filled array. Okay, so if I can have a look at the data that must be shared at class level, I'm going to have a constant. I'm going to call it max, and it's all capital letters. It's a constant, data type integer, and the initial value I want 5 pet names to be stored. Then I need an array pets. How many elements? Max minus 1. This would be of the type string, and no initial data. The last thing I need would be an array counter. That's an integer and it's going to start at 0. So that's all the data I need right now. Actually, I've got a form, so I can enter that data here. Form, and the name was given to us. Form pets. So that's the name that I need to use. So I've got form pets. That's going to do this. The menu items that will open the different forms. I don't have any of that, so I can just go and delete. My menu item event procedures must all do a job. At this stage I'm not going to use any procedures or functions as well, so I can delete that. My event procedure with input, that I definitely have. The type, I am going to have a menu item. Click, and our menu item should be called menu pet add pet. Can you remember the naming format that we need to use? So it's the name of the top menu as well as the name of the menu item, and we add menu in front. So menu item add pets, must get a name from the user, test if there's space, add the array. So that means I'm going to get some input. I will have a pet name, that I'm going to get from an input box. Output, nothing really would be displayed. Maybe a message to say all is well. And now other variables that I can think of at this stage. So the steps in English, declare the variables, like we always do. Then I will need to get the name. I will need to test if the array has space. If I have a yes, store the name in the next array element. If it's a no, then I'm just simply going to display an error message. Okay, if we can have a look at this VB steps, I don't need to worry about declare the variables. I don't need to worry about getting the name. To test if there's space, what will I do? I'm going to test if array count, my variable, is less than array pets dot length. I will need a then over there. We'll have a look in a moment what to do if I have either of the options. So if there is space, then array pets, which position array count, must store the name. No, I said my variable is called pet name. Otherwise, I'm going to display an error message. Just simply something like that. We will elaborate on the message as soon as we get to the actual VB code. So the statement, the equivalent of declare the variables, can leave that blank. Get the name, we can leave that blank. I am going to code the VB statements for you in a little while. Then you can have a look. Okay, so that's the first menu, event procedure, add pet. It uses the class level variables. So I can specify here class level variables that I need. Hey, I need now the code for my menu event procedure display pets. Display all the pet names currently stored in the array. In order to do the menu item event procedure for display pets, I need to fill in the form again. So it's form pets. It's a menu item, click still, and my menu would be called the menu item, a menu pet, and then display pets, like that. I'm not going to get any input. Output would be in the list box. So let's just call this list output. I'm simply specifying that I'm going to use it. So the steps in English, declare the variables. I will need a loop to traverse the pet array. I can specify I need a for loop to traverse the pet array, and in the loop display an array element, the next one available. Before I display everything, it's maybe a good idea to clear the list box. So if I go have a look at the VB steps, don't need to worry here about the input, there isn't any. So equivalence position, I'm going to just use my for loop, so I need another variable, count. That would be an integer. It would need to start at 0 and it's going to move until we get to array count -1. I need the end of the loop, and it's part of the for loop, so I need you to add that over here. List output dot items dot add. What must we add? Array pets of position count, and that should display the output for me. And we've completed the planning. Next would be the data of the array. Let's just recap and see what we did. So, problem description was given to us. The first thing that we did, this is an SDI application where the array data needs to be shared between different event procedures. So I need some class level variables. Max is a good idea to use, just a maximum for my array. Initially this can be 5, and later on when the program goes into full mode for the users to use, we can change this number to something like 50. I've got an array max -1 of type string and array counter, because we need to gradually add the data to the array. The initial value would be 0. I've got an event procedure to add the different pets. It's a menu item click. I'm going to get a pet name from an input box. My steps would be declare the variables, get the name, test if the array has space. If it has space, store the name in the next array element. If no, display an error message. VB steps. It's always good to go have a look at stuff. I definitely forgot one step over here. Did you spot it? So let's go and I will store the name in the array, and then I need to increment the counter. Real needed if I leave this step. So that's why we always have a good look at our steps. So that means array count, I'm going to add 1 to it. Now I can either write something like this or array count +1, like that. If I've got a no, I need to display an error message. That's a good. Okay, so remember, always have a look at your steps. I would have missed a step now if I didn't go have a careful look at my steps again. Lastly, I need a menu item, display pets, event procedure. I'm going to display my output in the list box, and I'll need another variable for count. So the steps: declare the variables, clear the list box, a for loop to traverse the pet array from 0 to array count -1. Hey, let's write it like that. In the loop, I'm going to display each array element. So my for loop would be for counter, that local variable of mine. Start at 0 to go to array count -1. Display a specific array element in the list box. Next count will start the loop again. Okay, next we can have a look at test data. For this program, I'm just going to have a look at the test data manually as follows. So let's say we add a pet name, Bozo. That means my array will contain Bozo only, and array count, it was 0 before I started, and after the add, array count would be 1. If we say now we've got another add for pet name, and we choose Lucky, then in the array I should have Bozo and then Lucky stored, and after the processing, array count should be 2. If I now specify that I'm going to add a third name, let's go for Tommy. My array should store Bozo first, then Lucky, then Tommy, and array count after this should be 3. Okay, so just to simply show you how the data would be added in the array. If you want to, as an optional extra, I will code this program in Visual Studio next. Okay, so for simplicity and to just speed up things, I've added form pets, I've renamed it, I've added a menu with file and exit options with my list box as we are asked to do. So if I first of all add an exit event handler, then we still have an SDI, so me.close is perfectly fine. Okay, have a look at the add pet event procedure. Then very often what we do would be to just take these steps over here, and I am going to copy them, paste them as a comment, because then my code is commented already, and I like the comment just before the event procedure. So step 1 says declare the variables. I obviously can't start with the event procedure if I don't have my class level variables yet. So if we go have a look, I need 3 class level variables: max, array pets, and array count. So these would all be private, because that's what I do with class level variables. Constant max as integer equal to 5, private array pets, how many elements, max minus 1, and what type of data do we need to store? String. Private array count as integer, and just to emphasize, 0 start, that is also the default value. So class level variables all private with the data that we specified. If I now go have a look at the menu pets, I've got a local variable. So I need to define that. We need to get the name, that's the next step. So pet name, I get that from an input box as per the instructions. I'm just going to ask for the pet name, and now I need to test if the array has got space. we've already filled in quite a bit of this code. So again, I am just going to copy it, and I'm going to remove what is not needed and update the code as I need to. Okay, but I don't need to do anything. So if array count is less than that dot length, get the name stored already, save it in the array, increment the counter, otherwise display an error. I'm just going to modify this a little bit now that I write some code. No space. I'm going to say only max names allowed. So this code will automatically tell the user only 5 names allowed. If I try to do and save more than that. If I go have a look at the display pets menu, event procedure, again we will normally go and copy this, go to the code, I just delete the bullets, we don't need them, specify that all the code must be a comment. Declare the variables, I need only a counter for my loop. For loop, again I can go and write the code, but no need for that. Just going to quickly make sure my indentation is good, and I need to clear the list box. Items dot clear before everything is displayed. Doesn't like a dash here, needs a minus. There we go. And voila, the code seems good. So now all that I need to do is to test that it works. Let's go and run the program. Again, I'm just going to display my test data over there. There's my program. So if I go say add a pet, enter a pet name, Bozo is added. If I go display, we get Bozo. If I go add another pet, Lucky, and again go display, we've got Bozo and Lucky, same as what I've specified over here. If I add another pet, Tommy, go display the data, we've got all 3 of them. And let's just go verify that only 5 names can now be stored. So if I add another pet, Leroy, display that, we've got the Leroy. If I add another pet, Dumbo, display, then I've got my 5 pets. So if I go and add yet another pet, Kitty the cat, I get an error message. No space, only 5 names allowed. Okay, are you guys happy with the program? I'm slightly happy. There's still for me something that I would do differently. Why must the user first go click on display pets after a name is added? It's really bad user interface design. Let me show you. So these are now not part of the original specifications, but it's just a lot better to do something like this. I am going to code a procedure for my program. So private, because only this program needs it. Sub, let's call it display names, and I'm just going to say display all names in the list box. So now all of this code can go to my sub procedure, and where I need the code to be executed, oops, I need to remember the count specified. There we go. Where I need this to happen, I can simply call the display names procedure. And now, after a name is added successfully, I can also call display names. This will just enhance the user interface dramatically. So if I go have a look at my program, there's my test data. As soon as I add a pet, Bozo, click on OK, I can see the name already. No need for the user to go click on the display option again. If I add another pet, Lucky, voila, the data is displayed immediately. And this is now what is meant with good user interface design. Make the program nicer and better. If you add things, it's perfectly fine. And there I've stopped the program. Okay, so as an optional extra, I've coded the program as well for you. I enhanced the program a little bit. I've added the display in a private sub-procedure, and I'm calling it twice in the program. Once out of my own choice, and the second time when it was specified. We need to always follow the specifications. If you do something like this, perfectly fine. Okay, thank you and bye-bye.